Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Spirit Plays More Spiral Kniggets. So, our issue here, come on, buddy, is that we need to, we did like a whole sort of, no, a whole lot of nothing last time. But I want to, that's a mighty fine loadout. I want to upgrade my lance. We need some, you know, we absolutely failed our last upgrade. You know, we can, might be able to do this. One of the tips I saw was to, for dreams and nightmares specifically, was to get the ancient plate and give that a shot. I think we have 21 seals. I can seriously count, as long as I've played this game, the amount of times I've done Vanna is very, very slight. I'm not a big fan of it, just because I don't want to, pardon me, I don't want to get into that, habit of redundancy. But at the same time, you can't deny it, and you shouldn't try to hide it. We're doing it. We're going down here. Dude, I love arcades. I can't help it. Start to finish, here we go. But anyway, what Spiral Knights episode would be good without a bit of philosophy, right? You know, this game has aged quite a bit, and you know, it's not really, I don't know, it depends on where you're coming from. It has not matured like a fine wine. Those are the interested in the competitive scene, but those interested in just having a, you know, grand old time. Hello, buddy. You wanna? So here's a conundrum, right? Should I even bother? Probably not. So I should save some loadouts here for a minute. Let's make sure I got the correct costume on. But from a PvP perspective, absolutely not. This game is not really delivered. I think they just kind of threw out the, like, yeah, whatever. Just do whatever, yo, kind of idea when it came to lockdown. They just untiered it. They took off AT, because, like, why not? Here and there. You know, like, only a certain number of people play anyway. I guess I should, let's just give you the bomb one. No. We'll have everything be, medium. Swift step it. Swift step it up, yo. We'll just, like, medium everything the whole way down. I mean, we could get damage ultimate to everything, but, you know, like, my hard trinkets are kind of nice. No, we should be the neutral offender. Here we go. And here we go. This will be like the killer neutrality loadout, right? We should also invest in like 350 energy, now that I think about it, because we want to maintain our third weapon slot. Killer neutral. Beautiful. Nope. Let's do it. What could possibly go wrong? People will join us, that's awesome. If not, that's also awesome. As our connection continues to dwindle. That's what I get for living in the opposite corner of the place where my my internet dwells. Anyway, so this last chapter I read from Introduction to Modern Philosophy is on G.E. Moore, and dude, his book, primarily Principia Ethica. Pardon me while I partake of, you know, coffee, the essential consumable for everybody who wants to do some deep thinking on the Venom Fang arena. We're just gonna keep with the neutral kind of loadout, the neutral damage. Just, like, what level is this thing? I think it's like level 7. So pardon me. So we're level 5. So I mean, the damage isn't gonna be all that bad. What could possibly go wrong? But it's so G.E. Moore talks about intrinsic goodness Like, goodness in itself is unquantifiable. It's just known. His biggest argument that I can... Oh my goodness, Java, we have not done our morning stretches, have we? His biggest argument for goodness is basically like an undefinable kind of like asset. Do your morning stretches, Java. Come on, buddy. I forgot, you know what? This is a little bit on me. I forgot to close out some programs. So we'll both be feeling this pain for a minute. And oh, you know what? This is not working out. We're poisoned. Let's run away for a minute. We don't want to die in the first room, you know. That'd be embarrassing. Who does that? Okay, we're unpoisoned. Let's go grab a heart so we can maintain our livelihood. Oh no. Beautiful. The nitro on nitro action. I mean, no one does that. Here we go. Oh no. What have we done? Beautiful. We can thread the needle a couple times. Blah blah. I was unsure if that would work. I'm glad it's... Oh! Glad it's slaughtering these dudes, at least. I mean, you can't... the Valanus charge is not going to be nearly as potent. Whack! Dude, just feels good. Not quite as, you know, blast effective as the Metronome. You're all alone, my man. I feel a little bad. So, yeah, anyway, G.E. Moore's thing is, how unquantifiable goodness is in itself. And, like, his best analogy toward that, and I really, like, this is one of the books, one of the things that he writes about. Ooh. It's how you, oh my goodness. The shot from the grassy knoll. I guess we'll just, while we're poisoned, we are just absolutely worthless, so just keep some pressure on these dudes so they have somebody to heal. But just like the color yellow, that's like his best argument, and it's a great analogy. You can, you eventually can get to the point of any process where something is, the way Darwin put it was like irreducibly complex, which makes a lot of sense, right? You can define something as like a quantity, as like a length, as like a measure, eventually get to the points of, even as far as our scientists go. This is not good. There we go. Dash saved us again. Yeah, let's save. It's only a matter of time before we go down. Let's take care of the healer. He seems to be our biggest issue. But you do get to a point of unquantifiability. Now that also begs a question, like, why should goodness be the main focus? If you're going to focus on something, why would it be goodness itself? Get rid of the poisoner, so that helps. I think we're just going to jump down after this one level. I know it's not. It's kind of like, oh, you punk. It's kind of like copping out a little bit. But I mean, the amount of stuff we glean from this one little level. It's got to be the Staruska. It's going to be, you know, basically, pardon me, connection. I see you've made some decisions in my stead. Can I not have zero connectivity? My wife must be awake. That's the only solution. We're heading down. G. Moore makes some good points, and like he's been studied throughout the years in popular. Like even if you don't agree with his values, the concepts he gets there, like it even kind of destructs mathematics. Right, you get to a point where integers are then in and of themselves abstract meaning. But at the same time, you're kind of given this this sense of, you know, this is what it is. There's some sort of self-referencing to concepts and abstract thought. But you can even mathematics just tells you kind of rules, like what is the number 2. You know, depends how far you jump into that, right? Let me close out some stuff. But at the same time, you know, what are eggs? Well, we know what eggs are. We can kind of define them. But if you dig too deep and actually examine the part, it's like examining an elbow when you're trying to find out the beauty of an attractive person. Staring at their elbow is not going to do it. You have to look at the whole. Anytime you try to define it, G. Moore actually goes to the point. He says it's irreducible complexity. So, I mean, do I have another arcade lowdown? I do. I have this one. With that, I think is, and then we can just add a bomb to this, right? Beautiful. And that's it. This just gives, okay, it's level 6. I mean, we could swap these out with like the different guns, but I think this is pretty solid. So we can save as. This is now our new default arcade. Excuse me. I don't think we'll need the sleep bomb at all, but you know, it's the only like bomb I got, man. So I'm just gonna rock it out. Hello. Java feels a lot better. I had to close Discord. I'll jump on there to, you know, announce the live streaming for like all 4 people awake at 4 or 6 in the morning. But I can understand, like, the naturalistic fallacy is something that G. Moore appeals to, basically with every counter argument to trying to, you know, give. I shouldn't have done that. It's okay. Every counter perspective, anytime you try to quantify goodness or like, but his argument's kind of like weird because you can go with the naturalistic fallacy for anything. Anytime you try to quantify the number 7, anytime you try to quantify car, you can take that and dissect the language itself. He puts it as more of an intrinsic thing, like, you know, right into him. Good job, mate. Whereas it's self-referencing. You know what it is. And C.S. Lewis actually jumps into this a little bit when he talks about beauty, goodness, and love. Because sometimes you can't, you know, give a. Now there's a difference between a. Oh, all right. There's a difference between goodness and means to goodness. Means to goodness can be quantified, but when you try to quantify goodness itself, and again, focusing on goodness, you ask the ultimate philosophical question, right? Why? Every time I think of philosophy, I always think of the Family Guy episode where Peter took a week off to study philosophy. And one dude's just like, Peter, you should really go back to work. He's just like, why? I might have used that analogy before, but it does to get to the, you know, the old. It really simplifies the philosophical world when you're trying to define goodness and all that. It kind of makes it silly, but at the same time, you know, this is where you get. So you can actually get a good bit of the Constitution from G.E. Moore. There's like 2 musics playing at the same time. One forgot to turn off. But you can get it, like these we only choose to be self-evident. So I mean, you can get, and he lived, I think, from like 1850 to 1903 or something like that. Died at the age of 85. He has some other works too. So if you could, thank you. Sure. Just and then I'm dead. Is this the world that Asians play in? Am I just feeling this? I mean, I hear the sad music. Just get down, thank you. And the undertones of the pre-battle, there it is, it's back. So we only die once per level. I mean, we're doing pretty good, I think. Anyway, isn't this another arena? I guess that does help expedite the process down to I suppose it's in the lead order, down to the you know, at least halfway point. We are trying to, you know, our goal is to get radiance, but. Like the arcade, man, I don't mind doing a slow process. Enjoying my time down. You know, we enjoy the game. We're not trying to feature, again, nostalgia, right? And he kind of quantifies goodness as, was it nostalgic, appreciation, aesthetic enjoyment and personal affection. Yeah, but he deals with the person, right? When you're defining goodness, it has to come from a person. Has to come from some sort of moral law, moral judgment. And moral law, moral judgment assume the asker of the question has value, and the words themselves have value. Like if you try to devalue, like words themselves are quantifiable, but everything gets to the point of irreducible complexity. Yeah, that's why evolution itself, if you want to take that as a philosophy or a theory, the irreducible complexity is the cell. This has been proven for a while. It's just like, it seems like a convenient thing to ignore, that every cell in the human body is as complex as New York City, and it just coming together by randomness just defies logic. Anyway, one thing G.E. Moore does do is he appeals to the concept of objective beauty, which I can relate to. We all, even the atheist or the non-theist, you get a sense of, you drive by a landmark, or you go to like one of the big beauties, masses of the world, and you're just like, I need to take a minute. I need to soak this in. I need to just. The astronauts, right? When they looked at Earth from that perspective, they're just like, holy crap, this is in the beginning. God, they quoted this kind of stuff because it just defied any other, like the greatness that they were experiencing at that point in their lives. Excuse me. Oh, hello, Prince. Defied any other ways of explanation. Prince Pickles? Why have I not met such greatness and royalty before in my life? And where'd you guys get all these pocket grenades? Come on, man. Beautiful. But I did see the animation of me just trying to fire, and then it just went away. Prince Pickles, we need you. Everyone has this cool, like, slime gear and stuff. I do not. I'm a little jealous. I was not part of that era. Jeez. It's not part of the air. I didn't buy a box at that time, I should say. Okay, we're out of the poison grind. Beautiful. So far, so good. I do want to skip this one. I hope His Highness is okay with that too. Just after the first part of the arena, keep going down, kind of deal. Should probably gotcha, buddy. Gotcha. Did you see that shot? Oh. Right into it. Yep, that's exactly what you should have done. Okay, we're at 6%. I don't think we're one-hittable. He was asleep. I honestly thought our connection just died again. Meow 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 meow. But as if anything else, if you get too far into philosophy, all you gotta think about is how much you love your cat. And the logic of a cat, it's pretty simple. Dude, our cat, I feel kind of bad for him. I think he has fleas. He's scratching himself, like he's irritable. So I feel bad. Baby Con needs a trip to the vet. I don't know any other solution that can, help cats get better at fleas. I mean, scratching them until they're, you did it. Scratching the fleas off usually doesn't work. They just find another spot. Usually doesn't work. Usually. Thank you, Your Highness. I appreciate that. Like the elevators down give me a chance to, think about what I just read. There's one excerpt in this book I have to read, I believe. Just because of the in the middle of the book, the stuff gets a little complex, and I just like, in order to maintain a train of thought, I can't. It'd be tough to play a game and do this at the same time. But one of the things he says is that things of themselves, they can produce quantities and organic consistencies of goodness and badness and combinations thereof. But if you really get into it, the stuff itself, goodness itself, is still irreducible. Like politics itself. Well, it could produce good. It could be a combination of good. And the way you measure good as means of goodness is the goodness it will produce. So these are, again, we get to the concept of like abstract ideas. Abstract ideas, do they have to be quantifiable? And to a certain point, could they even be quantifiable? Is it possible to quantify goodness besides something that's self-evident? This is when you get into the. This is when people have different definitions and they do try to quantify this stuff. That's when we have argument. You know, like Sam Harris is a good example. His argument for intrinsic goodness, or goodness itself, is human flourishing. Then you have humanism, and then you have the will to power. What is good? Well, whatever the natural order of things, which is the strong dominating the weak, the slave mentality, per Nietzsche. You know, that's and they're trying to quantify, right? So the quantity, the quantity is also an abstract thought when you come to Nietzsche, because the strong dominate the weak. That's just how things are. That is self-apparent, self-evident in history, and in the evolutionary paradigm of history, right? And regardless of pardon me, hello Capayo. Regardless of the alright, see you later. You just wanted to hitch a ride and then go by yourself, because Spiral Nights is all about you. Self-evident. Self. The hyphenated sin of man. Self. Did I not hit you? Apparently not. Luckily, the Winter Grave is like the most powerful weapon in existence. Alright. So anyway, the next elevator, I'll read this thing. When he starts talking about goodness in itself, and the measurements thereof, it is really it's really interesting. But most philosophers, like, you can't help but sort of, even though you don't agree with its definition, like the logical concept, and I can see this, the concept, the logic behind it, and how he gets to his definition is pretty interesting, because he just basically claims like you can't, it's impossible to get to anything that's beyond abstraction. He doesn't say it in so many words, but that is it's basically what it is. So you have to take that abstraction, you have to apply it to reality. Well, reality, we can quantify things, sort of. And just like Rabbi Zechariah said, God has left a good amount out, or has put enough reason in this world to make belief in him a reasonable thing, but he's left enough evidence out to make reason alone not enough to justify faith, or anything really, because in the abstract we can still see concepts as a whole. A human being is still a human being. He is not an arm plus a leg. We put these things together and we come up with words for them because it just makes sense. The way our brains works, we classify things. I hope you don't see a car driving down the street and say, wow, it's a nice set of tires that are consistently together in a strange kind of constructed way. If only there was a measurement that we could use, or an object we could define, that would lump them all together. And you do words like said, and that's when basically it's the fundamentals of language that he kind of gets to, I believe. Let us take our boots. I'm a little jealous of that shield, though. I think it's just a beauty in itself, Mr. Pickles. Sorry, Your Highness. I forget the formal titles, man. We've done it. Anyway, what was the... let me find this page here. Well, I have time to read. So I'm doing this. What is the point of doing all this? So that others can get a sense of thought, even myself. Alright, so he's talking about intrinsic goodness as being indefinable. But there are also universals. One difference between judgment, which asserts that a thing is good in itself, and a judgment that asserts that it is a means to good, consists in the fact that the first, if true of one instance of one thing in question, isn't necessarily true of all, whereas a thing which has good effects under some circumstances may have bad ones under others. All judgments of intrinsic value are universal in this sense. So is that confusing? Previously, he says, I am anxious that this should not be misunderstood. The expression of self-evident means that proposition is evident or true by itself alone. So he takes these things, goodness is self, and you have to look at it in isolation of a lot of other things. Would it be by itself good? Adios, Your Highness. I'm just going to wave to the empty air. Does not mean that by proposition is true, because it is evident to you or me or all mankind. By saying that a proposition is self-evident, we mean that its appearing so to us is not the reason why it's true. For we mean that it has absolutely no reason. So this is where... So we use reason and ration to define what is good. To say that good has no reason or ration. So this is when you get to the point of like contradictory claims. Our minds work pretty amazingly to the point where we conceptualize things and we lump things in. You know, it's like the we make things exponential, and this can be seen in the development of like how we operate our own bodies. We start with walking, and then we get to running, and then we get to jumping, but all those require like balance of certain limbs, and you can reduce even the control of your own body to like basically simplistic nerve functions. And then this is when you get to the concepts. You have, in my opinion, no choice but get the concepts of like a soul. I forget which one this is. This one? Well, I mean, what could go wrong? Just kind of want to get through this. Cat, I hear you. I hear you meowing. Meow, 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 meow. So I forget, can they dodge this? So we'll find out in a minute. Like the wolver, sorry. Excuse me. Are you immune from sleep? They cannot dodge while asleep. That is just so good. Alright, we'll use this bomb more often. So, how does this relate to Spiral Knights? The philosophy of the SK world? I got them both. Meow, meow, meow. Blah, blah. I don't know, man. Goodness in itself. If we are... Oh, my goodness. Speaking of goodness, we're trying to, give reasons why we're gonna keep doing dreams and nightmares consistently over and over again. Chris Strife, I'm loving that outfit. Cool guys wear hats. That's all I'm saying. All these cool costumes, the natural, the old school ones are the best. All right, well, you know what? If you're not gonna be asleep, I'm just gonna have to beat you with a piece of cardboard. Hello. You've entered the better part of the round. Chris Strife. Dude, he's got some good stuff. Well, I mean, you only need an iron slug. That's it. Nothing else. I just happen to have a winter grave, which does neutral damage on a lot of things. Hello. I'm shortcutting the process. Whoa, 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 whoa. Please. There's the Dark Barbara, the only decent damage weapon for any bomber. He's got it. We should probably invest in that at some point. But I got the Nitrono, man. By far the coolest bomb in existence. Besides maybe the Big Angry Bomb, and I've just never have had one. At least I don't think so. Dude, it's been so long that I'm forgetting like what I have and what I have not. I didn't see you. You were too short. And you still missed me. Freaking biggest target in the game. You missed me. It's okay. It's okay. Got him. Got him. So what's better in this? Dude, I just realized now the difference between his weapon and mine. His stuns, mine freezes, and that is just like right up there with the Sudoruska and the Triglav. Cat, hello, welcome back. We're having a deep conversation about the goodness of a cat's life. Dude, I forgot to feed him the other day. Oh my goodness! They freaking cherry picked me, dude. How you supposed to defeat that? the cherry pickness of life. We both use bombs to our advantage. I'm shocked that he hit me. I get it. Please. Just one. Good, good, good. Sometimes you mash the button and you get a double pill. A duo pill. Usage. Anyway. Come on, buddy. I want to help. I don't have the best bomb in the world, but I have one of the best gun engines. Gotcha! I missed everything. Dude, I for sure brought my nitro now. Can I? Thank you. Is it that time where we turn AT on so we are consistent with our striking? Probably not. I don't think I can. I have such a bad taste in my mouth just from a previous experience. I don't think I can ever do that to myself. Happy birthday to us. Gene Moore's like, you can take everything in like he kind of it's like a half step away from like deconstructionalism, which a lot of philosophers do, but they don't do it with the concept of trying to find what goodness is, trying to find meaning in itself. There's a different type of motive in mind, which is mainly theism bad. A lot of the stuff is just you can see this through, but that's not it. Through history, it's just a stark rejection of God. How dare there be an absolute singularity that would try to dictate goodness in itself and be the judge of, or rather the creator of goodness. Again, from a Christian perspective, goodness is still on par with purpose. So if we take let's take that and bounce it off of Moore, right? Goodness and purpose are self-evident. A toilet plunger is used to plunge toilets. You can use it for other things, sure, but that would be in violation of its purpose. Does that make sense? So we are not the creator of all things, especially the abstract concept of goodness, or the quantifiable concept of goodness if we try to measure it that way. When we start to measure things in the quantitative sense, we get in danger of putting a value on something itself, and that in effect devalues like people. Why are people valuable? Why do people have more value than? Why does a person have more value than a rock? I mean, unless you have something that's like beyond self-evident, beyond something that's just in us to realize these things, then you're devaluing because you're putting it on par with something that can be taken, something that does corrode. So goodness itself can also be temporal. It can be something that's easily, identified with things that decay. So is death and destruction, is that stuff good? Well, I mean, no. They usually leave a bad taste in your mouth. But when you look at what it produces, because this is how Moore tries to justify what does and does not produce goodness. You get or what is and is not good, and by the means. You can't measure goodness in itself, but you can measure the means of goodness. If it produces goodness in itself, well, death and destruction, we look at those with fear. Death itself, the end of life. But when you look at the concept of, what happens to a body, well, I mean, it goes back to the earth and could feed plants. It attributes to the natural circle of life. So, I mean, eventually we'll get to something good out of that. But maybe it's beyond our understanding, something we cannot see. I'm going. I'm a bad dude that doesn't afraid of anything. Well, it just never gets old. Gotcha. Little sleepy gremlins. Kapow. Dude, we are mass destroyers of worlds. What was that? We were watching, pardon me. We're like, as a family, we were like 3 episodes away from the end of Adventure Time, and then we stopped watching it. So, one of the traditions we had when we were going on binge as a family, so me, my wife, the 7-year-old, 2-year-old, we'd watch Adventure Time. I'd make the daddy fries, and all that really is I just cut up like a whole bunch, like a whole bag of potatoes into fry. So put them in a giant bowl, and I put a lot of oil and salt on them. And I just, oh, let's do it. Let's freaking do it, dude. Put a whole bunch of stuff on them, and then we just put it in. We just make it a grazing pit. I need help. Oh, it's the turrets. Got this. Excuse me. Aren't you supposed to be asleep? You can't sleep. Or are you just gonna stand here and die? Well, apparently so. Can we get unshocked? Is that a thing? There we go. We did use it. And we're out of any sort of pills. Thank you for killing that dude. Okay, apparently... Come on, let's not die, buddy. Mike, take care of that boy. Apparently you can't put constructs to sleep. I should have known this. That makes sense. They're robots. They never sleep. The internet never sleeps. Blah, blah. I'll do better this time, I swear. We need to get rid of him. And then we need to get rid of, like, this crazy, chaotic whirl of Thel, please. I'll take a shot. I don't mind. We have our chaos gear on. We have a little bit of elemental resistance. So that first death was just, you know, practice. I meant to give myself a handicap. Just kidding. I can't be honest about that. Or I can't say that with a straight face, rather. Ideally, you know, we never want to get hit ever by anything. It's gonna hurt. Okay, keep in mind we can still do this. We've gotten sparks. We're navigating the maze. It's about time for this one. There we go. There we go. Let's dance through here for a minute. Let's pop some pills. Excuse me. That was not it. Hit number 6. Hit number 6. Use your pill. Okay, we're just gonna hemorrhage some damage for a minute. There, we got it. We got a safety corner. That's what we needed. There's even. Oh, jeez. Oh, what? Thank you, connection. Appreciate that. Just being bounced back and forth. I can't even imagine trying to dodge this stuff from a European country. It is a little foreign to me. There we go. Beautiful. Hello, sarcasm. Alright, so let's, we did it. Oh! Ugh. Kablam! We are amazing. You know, I saw my life flash before my eyes several times, but all in all, pretty good. Pretty good. Dude, I only got like maybe 10 minutes. Gotta go make the tiny one's lunch. Life of a busy dad. Stream casually, hoping to reach a couple people to talk about deep thinking. The average, again, American thinks for 9.5 minutes a day. So hopefully just watching the Spiral Knights video, or at least listening to it, I do try to inspire some sort of, you know, critical thinking, critical thought. So let's measure intrinsic goodness against the atheistic paradigm, because that's usually, or secularism itself, right? It actually rings true, but then it goes to a more shallow depth, I believe, because though it is self-evident, you can't go anywhere beyond that. You know, I ask you, well, I mean, why should I believe in your self-evidence compared to my own? There's nothing that elevates yours above mine, and this is where identity politics flows from this kind of concept. Where you know, it's just your opinion. Why should I listen to it? If you don't have some, pardon me. Oh, I clicked out of the screen. I'm like, come on. At least if my connection dies, I have something left. You know, we need that kind of depth, or that kind of hierarchy, rather, to, you know, though these ideas that Moore kind of puts out there are abstract, they still are self-evident, and there still is objectiveness. There's objective beauty. Well, you can cheat by looking the other way. I'll do it, I don't care. Huzzah! What on earth? Well, at least there was no possibility of getting radiance here, right? So it's like that 25. I don't think so. I think 26 is the minimum radiant area, if I'm not mistaken. This is new. This specific spot. I don't recall seeing that anyway. Dude, this is the strongest shield I've ever experienced. Thank you. Look at this craziness. This is amazing. I'm just gonna shoot into the ether. I have no idea. There's a Trojan here? That is crazy. Let's get him. Come on, buddy. There we go. Poppity pop. Yeah, I've never seen this before. But usually so you take Moore's thing in perspective in passing. This is really a whole argument of meaning versus non-meaning. If you go time plus matter plus chance, when you start bouncing all these ideas and thought process off each other, what you'll eventually end up with is meaningless itself, even to the point of how do you rectify language? But then again, we all use language, and we all use it as if we don't even have to ask about the meaning behind it. Like, we don't even assume, you don't question it too often. Like, why do we even, what are we talking about this stuff for? A little jealousy as it lands. I'm guessing it's level 10. Size does matter. Level does matter. Sometimes. Turn that off. There we go. Light shine bright everywhere you go. I wonder if you get a, hit from YouTube for just singing a song badly. Is it still like copyright infringement? Probably. Don't sing it too well, right? If you sing it badly, they'll be like, nah, I don't own that. You sing it correctly, and you're condemned. How dare you copy my song? How dare you copy my tunes? Dude, you know what I just noticed? I'm going to see if I can pop it up here on the screen. About the focal point of the map. I don't think I ever noticed that till right now. Let's see what else I got here for more. Goodness may be divided into aesthetic enjoyment and personal affection. So this is like, you can, from his philosophical point, he doesn't really bring God to the equation. He advocates, he looks at these sexual pleasures. He looks at the, so that's Eros, right? He also looks at, the vast sense of objective beauty. He looks at constructs, but he doesn't really bring a singularity. He doesn't bring a, the absolute into it. But absolutes are apparent if you're going to go down that route. They have to be. Something in itself is itself. So when you go to intrinsic goodness and you go to other intrinsic values, things that are of themselves, well, this is, everything has its point of reference from something else. Eventually you get to the point of irreducible complexity, and that's where you get to the concept of God, and how God's meaning is the only, posit in existence that's meaning comes from himself. And in scriptures, he says, I am the good shepherd. So I will do this because this is who I am. This is what I do. As opposed to the Muslim argument that God is God can change his mind whenever. The Judeo-Christian philosophy is that, and you can see this in the Torah, which is why it's the Muslims believe in the Torah, which is one of the bigger contradictions. Hello, Wajah. Is that you have a God is unchanging. He is the law in himself. I love the rainbow bomb. But anyway, so that kind of stuff is self-evident. Dude, I love this single switch shooting. You were at work? Well, I'm glad you can experience a little bit of the SK life during your work day. Especially one of the, like, this stage is probably like one of the best. I love stages like this. I wish there were a lot more. It really brings it lightens a lot of things. No, man, oh, good job, man. I forget what I was talking about. So anyway, oh, goodness itself, points of reference, God being a singularity. So everything else gets, God as a whole is something we can't really wrap our heads around. But we can wrap our heads around a lot of things. You know, just like in a dream. So this is where you can bounce off dreams. The whole concept that in a dream, you can't make sense of rational numbers. You can't do addition. Like, there was an episode of House. I watched just about every episode. The last two seasons just like Rescue Me. It got really to the point of, you know, it's shock value. It's not interesting anymore. The beginning part of the show where he was a atheistic genius that was just gifted in basically everything that man wanted to be gifted in, except he had an issue with muscle in his leg, and he lived with constant pain. That kind of devalued to like drug use, and even that was interesting. But then anyway, we're going to Dr. House. Where's I going with that? Freaking A, dude! I got lost down a trail of my own brain. That's what happens when you try to do. Oh, we got some radiance. You try to do a complex motor function and hold like 3 different trains of thought in your head at the same time. Well, this is about mindless, and the background is absolutely the background to what I use for like all the videos and stuff I do. Anyway, I'm trying to think where I was getting the abstract and the eternal, the self-evident things. Excuse me while I backtrack my brain. But they even reference God in Rescue Me, but then he goes like the atheistic, purely like hedonistic lifestyle. And though it is apparent, things do appear. Oh, I know where I was going with that. Dreams and integers. So Dr. House had a dream where he was trying to save somebody and nothing made sense. So what he did a math equation on the board. And he couldn't see it. So he's like, you know what? I must be in a dream. And we can do the same thing in reality. Eventually, if you dissect numbers enough and go to the nth degree, the opposite direction, instead of reaching the conclusion, and go to the philosophical concept of why enough, you can devalue numbers in themselves. But being alive in reality itself gives value and ration to those numbers. You know, in a dream set, you don't have the, you know, both hemispheres of your mind acting at the same time. So maybe you just can't at that moment. You know, I like to envision it as more like animalistic when it comes to trying to rationalize the world. You can see things as self-evident based on experience. So that's the it's not intrinsic. What is it? It's existential. That's it. It's the existential type of philosophy where that you can only find meaning based on the life you have lived, which kind of makes sense when you look at development and stuff like that. But at the same time, we're all given the same tool set. We all learn the same things. We all can get to a point where we, you know, agree red is red, even though how do I know my red's not your red? Well, we can look at the vibrations, see how the eye dissects that information, produces on the brain. So actually, on a scientific level, we can say that my red is your red. But how do you know? And that's when you get to the, you know, the infinite of, well, how do you know that eggs and urine, because they are both secretions of a cow, aren't the same thing? I mean, or there was secretions of the cow, and that's when you get into the logical fallacy of the excluded middle. Just because, you know, pardon me, can I go up? Thank you. Apparently, this is the unjumpable log, ladies and gentlemen. But the so when you look at videos like Zeitgeist and stuff like that, Zeitgeist I think is the German meaning for truth, the word for truth. You go down the Zeitgeist path, where you know, there are other instances where there are 12 apostles and there's a virgin birth throughout history, and it's recorded, and there's law that exists before the Talmud or the time of Moses. Well, yes, but that's like saying because a monkey has an arm, it's therefore a human, because humans have arms too. No, they're both very complex individuals, very complex concepts, and to say just because one has a certain specific part or sum of parts does not in itself mean that it is the entirety of the same thing. It might, okay, thank you. It might, you know, look extremely similar. Like, scary similar. But that doesn't mean it is, as a whole, the same thing. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Anyway, it's really neat the way, like, even dreams can come in and kind of try to add a little bit to the whole concept of abstract thought. I know we don't really need this. There's like, what, 4 enemies spawn every time or something silly like that? Lata! He was asleep. And now he's not. That poor healer. So we're looking for, oh jeez, it's 45 already. We get down to the, I forget to see if there's a actual new treasure trove area. That's fine. I don't think we'll have time to like bounce and see if there's a that new area is a nightmare, says Washout. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they're all the same. I think I found the same one twice. I just kind of like accept the fact that in the trap area, I'm going to take damage and die just due to my flexible connection. That's a good way of putting garbage. And due to my flexible connection and frame rate. But when you get to the boss, you just shoot him with a Winter Grave a couple hundred times. Where did Spiral Knights go? It just freaking closed. What for hell? Thank you, game. I needed that. We went down a level and Java's like, yeah, I think I'm done. What on earth? It doesn't happen here. I get frame rate issues, but never just. I gotta freaking look at the task manager because it's not loading. Where you at, buddy? This is alright. Java, come back to me. I gotta execute Java. Apparently, it's just still running in the background. H-I-J. No, there's no Java. Well, let's give it a shot again. It's Bayut. Hello. Come on, man. Spiral Knights is running. Oh, there we go. We've done it. Hopefully it just knocks me right into the area I was in before. Now Java's got to warm up again. It's like, oh, I'm an old man. I just slept for like 30 years. Come on, buddy. You got this. Remember where you're from. Oh, there we go. Oh, compounds. Lucky us. Dude, my cat is just loving life. Hanging out here in my lap. Speaking of dreams, I'm probably going to rock out Dreams and Nightmares maybe twice tomorrow. I don't know. I like variety, too. I used to make it a point, like, one person asked me, how do you get so many, like, 5-star level 10 items? So if you, in a course of a month, do Dreams and Nightmares, like, once or twice a day, you'll eventually get what you need, besides doing other stuff. So I just made it, like, 15 minutes a day before work. I would just do Dreams and Nightmares, and then that'd be, like, my warm-up. And Java would get its warm-up, and, you know. By the way, I saw the, Chrome is no longer going to support Flash, I think, come December. It's kind of funny to me. That makes me think that people are, oh. Alright, let's flex a little bit. Okay, I think we've done it. I'm coming. Okay. We've done it. We have spawned. Just so freaking painful, dude. Okay. I think we can do this. All we gotta do is shoot Wintergrave into the Oblivion. Oh wait, no, it's the it's this one. Jeez. I'm telling you, man, if Java doesn't have a chance to warm up, it is just absolute pain the whole way down. It's his life. It's okay. We're still, I mean, maybe we get what I like looking for at the end is, you know, how much gear and how much stuff we've gotten. So I hope that stuff still resonates, you know. The end screen, we can see how many radiants you got. It's always nice. Meow meow. Cha. Yeah, exactly. Yep, use that pot. It's probably the best. This army of freaking iron slugs. I love it. He probably does have the coolest shield in the game. Besides the Swift Strike, obviously. Anyway, I guess Flash itself is easy to, like, and I don't know about you guys, but my wife sends me links to look at stuff like this. Is pretty cool. You know what? We have all of our stuff down here, so I guess it did kind of save and maintain what we had. Yeah, even in regular news articles like the Washington Post, let's get out of here, please, are like just filled with pop-ups that I believe are just flash fueled. So I think it's I think it's actually from a smart perspective, and who are they to say, like, you know, how dare you say that Chrome cannot do this? You know, you can't really just. I wonder if they could be burning and asleep at the same time. I don't know. We're gonna find out here in a minute. I mean, if they're all dead, I guess it doesn't matter. Gotcha. Wash out says hi, Blue. Well, he can't hear me. What am I doing? Meow meow. Can you put the undead to sleep? That's a question. I think so. No! We did it. We dodged. There you go. I put words in your mouth, Waja. What else would you like me to say? What is left? Oh, there's a little dude down here. Meow meow. Oh. I'm in the mood for love. You guys make me feel old. Oh, I honestly have homework myself. Even in the fellows program, you read books and then you write articles for others to read. So I mean, you might say, what makes one young? You know, goodness, intrinsic value. What makes you young? In the vast cosmos of the world, of the universe, we are all children. I had somebody really, what, a griever brings you here to this universe? I had someone really argue with me that that we are not all children, that there are certain specific adults who have ascended and are more mature than everybody else. And I said, no, we are all children. And they're like, no, some of us are more mature than others. That was really honestly implying that they had this vast sense of transcendent maturity. And I'm like, no, you show me a warehouse, I'll show you a kindergarten class. You show me a political venue, I'll show you a bunch of toddlers that can't talk to each other, basically doing the same thing and fussing and pouting. I mean, the human concepts that we see, the will that we have is pretty apparent from, you know, infancy all the way up, from dependency, whether it be from like oxygen or anything else, all the way up to, you know, trying to define what is good and what is evil, and that's, you know, it's in the garden. Oh, I thought they would drop something. They did not. In the Garden of Eden, right? If you eat the fruit, you won't die. You will become like God. You will know good and evil. You will be able to define good and evil. And that's really honestly what we see in anywhere from politics to everyday life. Even the Chinese buffets. What is good? Well, one guy told me, I don't like eating cat, therefore I do not go to a Chinese buffet. And I said, what are you talking about? Well, we have, maybe depending upon your culture and country, that might be a thing. But come on, man. Really? I tried. The bomb was not fast enough. We just put a giant tree asleep. I thought that you couldn't put constructs asleep. Maybe it's just only the robotic constructs. Like, I thought the lumbers were constructs. Maybe they're just not immune to sleep. I don't know. Maybe only ones named Ted are not immune to sleep. That guy's name was Ted. I mean, Bob. Coming. Meow meow. Thank you for the support, gentlemen. Like, even for me, I know I have 4 bars technically up in the corner. That just hurt. That was just wrong. It's, I did hit the number 6. But when you dodge backwards, instead of side to side, like, even for my 4-bar connection, if I don't dodge these things a full tile ahead of where they hit me, they still hit me anyway. Like, I have to, their hitbox is about right, if it's about right here, he'll hit me anyway. Gets in my bubble. I don't like when things get in my bubble. Excuse me. Meow meow. I know we go toward philosophy, and then we eventually just kind of, you know, transcend into, we're trying to descend into abstract Spyro Knight's lingo. You know, what makes an Acheron good? We can dissect that. It's only a shadow weapon. Yes, but we all know why we don't advocate for that, and why. Well, maybe we don't, because the one person's opinion apparently, or the 1 or 2 or 3 that love using AT and Polaris, who have better computers, just say get good and get a better PC. But again, that does not contribute to longevity, nor goodness itself. If you want to play a game of Lockdown, the assumption is you have people to play, and when you don't have people to play, because they're sick of you using your AT and your Polaris and your Acheron, what? Who are you yelling at? Then you ask people to play, and you're just like, you know, why don't you come and you know, get good? I don't know. It just kind of went downhill. Sorry. Anyway, we're on Def 28. Def 28 compounds means we get like jack when it comes to rewards, but I'd like work again anyway. Don't worry, Waja. You can study again someday. You just you have to keep in mind, like, as you age, it's muddled logic to think you will have time for stuff. If you think something is important, you just have to make time for it. You'll start getting kids. You'll start getting, you know, everybody's gonna want a piece of your time the older you get, whether for advice or for opinion or for conversation. That kind of thing. If something is valuable, you need to make time for it. There's never going to be a perfect time. You say no, kids. And that's okay if you don't want to have them. But there's a reason why people with kids live longer, and statistically, why you get more of a value out of life, both ways, positive and negative. It seems like the meaning gets a lot bigger, meaning of life, both in, you know, defined by pain and otherwise, when you have kids. It's pretty neat. Alright, we're just going to jump in here, see how much we got, and I gotta go. It's like 2 minutes till go time. I don't think we got any radiant, like we got maybe 3 radiants in that old man. Why do I do freaking arcade? Seriously. Can't help it. Nostalgia. It's the beauty, it's the absolute beauty of the arcade. He's holding a hammer like a bomb. Magician. 9 radiants, 7k crowns. We got a sun silver too. We are majestic. Well, through that, a Java crash. Talking about intrinsic goodness. I'd say this is a fairly fulfilling episode for at least my cup of coffee, because it is empty. Anyway. Thank you for that picture. Once again, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, if you're on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. Otherwise, wow, it really just popped me out right here, huh? That's pretty awesome. I haven't seen this area in a long time. Why does this even exist? Like, I can't add to it. Ugh. Like, this stuff is so cool. Hold on. Let's get a better picture. I know. Like this whole idea is so cool. They should really keep jumping on this. Why does it keep auto doing that? I'm not a fan. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye. If I can find the right screen to exit. All right. See you later. Bye.